done? I'm a sinner. But those sins, I confess them to God.
You understand what's at stake here, right?
Yes, I do. So I need you to stay alert.
Welcome to the Walking Dead reviews on What the Flick. This time it's Season 5, Episode 2, Strangers. And it's one of the... This episode was fantastic. I was really engaged the whole way through. I think it's looking good for this season. So we had a nice trip to the church, dinner, and a nice swim in the pool, and a barbecue. Fun times were had by all, except for perhaps the most unsettling final scene I've ever seen on this show.
Yeah, that was pretty rough. Yeah, it was a good follow-up to the second one. Obviously, it couldn't have maintained the same like breakneck pace that the first one did. And I like that they fit in time for like little interesting character interactions, like Rick and Michonne having their talk about the significance of losing a sword, and Rick and Carl, which I'm sure we're going to talk about more in depth.
Let's talk about it now.
Okay, sure. So Rick pulls Carl aside inside of the church, and he says to him, you know, it doesn't matter if we're in this building or you're surrounded by people who you trust. You're not safe. You're never safe. Never let your guard down.
Which I thought was solid advice.
I don't think it's solid advice though. Like I get that they're laying out philosophically what this half season is about. It's not about leadership styles. It's about are we strong enough to keep ourselves safe, or like Carl says, are we strong enough to also help others? Yeah. Which they chose to do early in the episode.
Hunt or be hunted. That's the theme, and I saw it a lot in this episode and the last episode.
Yeah, well, but they're not really debating hunting or being. They're not hunting people really. They're just trying to get away.
Looks like something might be coming their way.
But I feel like Carl has to stay safe, but you have to let your guard down at some point, or he's going to turn back into crazy Carl who shoots people randomly. Like you don't want to give him PTSD. You can't tell him you can never, ever let your guard down for a second. That's insanity. He was playing with his kid saying, oh, she wants to go to DC. His guard is motherfucking down right there.
I mean, Abraham did pick a great point. You know, everybody's a little drunk on communion wine. Let's make them warm up to my idea. And, you know, the baby agrees. Why don't we all agree to go? It'll be easy and good.
I loved his speech because it was just like everyone thought he was being very happy. Is everyone here survivors? Yeah, we're all survivors. He's like, is that all you want to be, though? It was a very good twist on it. But I felt like the episode... I felt like the episode in general had a lot of symbolism through it. It was very symbolic in a way. Everyone had this moment where they would say, oh, are people more dangerous than walkers now? I think the priest said that straight away. But it's just there was something so like Halloween horror-esque about the way they were like holding themselves. Like, why would you go outside and stand and cry? Why would you go walk by yourself?
He let his guard down. Emotional moment. Carol, I think, doesn't really feel like she's part of the group anymore, or maybe she's having trouble getting back into the group. She herself said, I don't know.
Yeah. But really fast on the emotional moment, I mean, what is causing him to cry there? Is it that they're drinking the wine and so he's thinking about his alcoholism? Like, what causes him to... Okay, so she's read the comics. She doesn't want to say. I honestly don't know. But yeah, as soon as you see him standing out there, you're like, no, you idiot. You can't stand out there in the zombie apocalypse. It's crazy.
I just didn't understand it. But at the same time, it made for great watching because my stomach was like that way. You're always constantly waiting for something to happen because the episode was going far too nice. There was many moments where I thought that something bad was going to happen, like Daryl when Daryl and Carol were talking to each other outside the car, something's going to happen. Someone drove by, and then when Bob went out, I was like, this is it. It's going to happen now. Yeah. I did not expect that last scene. That was
very off.
That was up there with the slitting of the throat in the first episode. I was just like, it just looked like steak. I was kind of hungry at the same time.
I'm
desensitized.
I didn't
notice he was eating it first, and then
oh yeah, I couldn't tell first either.
Like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So you taste a lot better.
He gave this speech of, you know, I want you to know it's not personal. I would have done this to anyone. You know, we gotta eat. Man's gotta eat. He looked like he was savoring it. Like he gets off on this shit. Now.
Oh yeah, it was very like film douchebag. Like I'm gonna be cool and talk to you as you're like. It was very much like that. But I don't think that that's an example of bad writing necessarily. I think he is actually a douchebag.
No,
so it's
I don't
good
think
writing
it was
on their
bad
part.
writing, but it was just I think they started at a point where they were good, like our group, where you know they were eating because it was a necessity, but now they've turned. Yeah. Kind of like how people turn into walkers, into this monstrous, hungry malformation of that.
Yeah. Well, and also, like, we look at them, we see those guys, they don't look like they're starving.
No.
It's not like they desperately need a little bit of meat. No. They were gorging. It was like a hedonistic orgy of Bob Legitude.
It was something like an addiction, you know what I mean? It's like any sort of drug addiction. They started off because they said that's what they needed to do, and now it's something that they've grown a taste for, obviously, and it's something that they want to keep doing. It's just something so chilling about that. Just the whole scene in general, the way he was so calm about it. I did not expect it to go down and show that he was amputated. It was and now it's going to hinder what's going to happen, because I always thought Bob was kind of. I was worried that he was going to get killed, because there was many times, remember when he had the alcohol addiction and he couldn't really handle himself well.
He got like caught in the thing.
And then now I see the very similarities in the priest to what Bob was like, but obviously the priest is hiding something. There's something there that needs to be said. I'm kind of wary about what's
What
going
do you think the priest is
Wait,
hiding?
really fast, before we go off the cannibalism thing, I do have a couple of problems with that. Like, I've never had my leg cut off. I want to be clear about that up front.
I see it.
But you'd know that your leg was cut off. Like, okay, maybe they pumped him full of tranks or something, but one, if you're about to eat a person, you don't give them heavy anesthetic, because then that gets in their leg and it gets in you. And two, if you had medicine, you don't waste it on a guy you're going to consume. They would have just killed him and eaten the whole thing.
Plus, I don't know if
Maybe he just understood that he was hurt, like badly, but he didn't understand that my whole...
He's sitting down.
No, but that's the
I
thing.
can see my leg right now, by the way. I can see my legs.
If you know about your legs as well, what best part to eat, why did they cut off the lower half of it? Yes, this is the meatiest part of your leg. So they only got a little bit of calf. Yeah, they only got a little bit of calf muscle to start with.
There's no refrigeration,
so
you gotta take what you can get when you can get it.
Yeah, okay, that's one good reason to keep him alive. So I mean, I assume if he was just gonna die, I think he would have died. So I think he's gonna live for at least a couple of episodes. But in the past, people who lose legs, like, you don't want to lose a leg in the zombie apocalypse.
Unless you're Horcher, who's a man who could just power
but
through
he
it.
eventually died.
Yeah, well,
so it might be a death sentence, even if it's not going to put him in someone's belly.
Let's talk about the priest, though.
Yeah.
He hasn't divulged what his sins are, but I think it was heavily hinted toward what his character is when they were in the pool, the stinky area.
The jacuzzi. Yeah.
Oh, and we also got to see waterlogged walkers.
Yeah.
We got fire walkers last time. This time water.
We had one water at the bottom of the well, and it did look a lot like that. They were pretty grotesque, though. That was
they
good
looked
makeup.
horrible.
Especially the last one, it was just falling off of them.
That is disgusting. But I'm at the same thing, I'm intrigued about the priest, because they've brought this religious aspect into it now, where he's saying that he's going to stay in touch, that God is going to get him through it, and you can tell every one of them are like, there's no God. I mean, look at what's happened to the world. This can't be true. But he's still clinging on to his religious aspect. But I think he's clinging on to his religious aspects not because of just the apocalypse, but because he's done something really like shameful before that, before the apocalypse happened. Maybe this is something that's
we've got the scratches that Carl found. That you'll burn for this.
I like Carl the detective.
We have his freak out when he was not even close to being touched by that one walker who we discovered later was in his past.
We assume that he slept with her, but I don't think that
He's
may be
priest.
Connected. Yeah,
that's maybe why.
Who cares?
He could just like her.
Hey, it was a grown woman. Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I think that might be connected to his sin, but it seems like he says it's just me. He has all that food. The idea that nobody would have tried to have gotten into the church is hard to believe. So it seems like he probably locked the door, didn't let anyone in, something like that. He was so scared that he didn't help people who he could have helped. That is what I'm leaning towards, and that makes sense that they were outside being eaten, they carved it in, and they tried to get in. That's what I'm guessing anyway.
So I know I want to go back to Carol, because I know she's one of the fan favorites. Like, what is going on with her? Because I know you like her character specifically. I just don't know what's happening. Like, if I feel as if Rick made an effort to make her feel more than welcome. It's something that's kind of ridiculous. All right, you'll kill someone, but then you can kill tons of other people and you're back in the group. That's the way this world sort of is working. You kind of need to prove to them that you can do what it takes to get back into the group. And I just don't know what's happening with
Maybe
Carol.
she doesn't feel that she belongs back in the group.
Yeah, maybe she's feeling guilt, but apparently guilt's the thing that you can't feel when you are in this world. You have to kill or be killed. Yeah.
Well, and also, I mean, I think that they made a special point that it wasn't that she was rejoining the group, they were joining her. I mean, he says, will you have us?
Will you have us, yeah.
I mean, I think, look, her doing that much to help them is going to change his opinion, but also it's just a pragmatic thing. Yeah. They need help. She's an effective killer. So I think he's just being pragmatic by joining up with them. But she obviously, I mean, she doesn't seem to have any interest in going off to DC or anything like that, this new mission they have.
I still don't buy this DC gambit. I think that Eugene is full of it.
Yeah, I think he's full of it.
What is it he said when he asked what is in DC?
He said
again?
reset. there will be food and
distributed paths
more
of
than you
protection.
think.
And, yeah.
Is that
When
not
we
been
hit the reset button, it'll
Yeah.
be.
Has that been proven that every place that's supposed to be having food and shelter no longer has food and shelter?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it was certainly true in Atlanta and
Yeah.
the prison and
it
Yeah.
just keeps
farm.
happening. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
but
just
he's the
Terminus.
only one who knows about all these underground.
Yeah, I mean-
yeah. I think that it's likely that we'll find that there's some government military presence there. I wonder, really fast, in terms of stuff, like the only stuff that you can find is stuff that was hidden. They found those 3 silencers.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were just making a point about hiding stuff, or
I
if
think
they're
it
going to
was-
need those
I
silencers
think
soon.
it was so Glenn could say the line, everything that's left that we can have is hidden.
Hidden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that Tara would feel guilt and be like, I gotta tell Maggie what I did.
Yeah.
Which maybe was a device, or maybe we will see those silencers later.
Yeah, certainly
Well,
that's
that'd be
very
useful.
effective. Yeah.
Exactly. That's I always thought about that when they'd shoot, and I was thinking, what could they not find in amongst all this ammo? Find something to maybe mask the gun thing, mask their sort of ammo. But I loved basically, like as I said, when you go from such an episode that just takes you by storm, it's such a smart piece of television to kind of draw you back into it, and it had that real like mid-season Walking Dead thing, only in the second episode where you're kind of waiting for something to happen, but at the same time, I just was wanting more. I was wanting more to happen, and then at the end it came all at once in that last scene. But as we said
It did
before,
end
at the end, I'm going to fix his name. Morgan, like at the end of the last episode, you have Morgan, who it seems to be somewhat involved, leaving these markers on the trees. And was that a marker on the tree again that it showed?
They
that
sure
was from him
focused on
doing
it like it was.
Yeah, I don't know if it was or not, but I thought it was him
Yeah.
at first that hit Bob over the head, and then when it come back to it, I was thinking it wasn't him. So is he just playing? Is he the one that they seen in the camp that was walking around, or was it the hipster crazy cannibals?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely want us to think that.
Yeah.
I like to imagine that they're being hunted by the cannibals, but that perhaps the cannibals are being hunted by him as well.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like he's the sort of person that now, like Carol, might be able to swoop in and sort of help them.
The combination of if Morgan joins the group with Carol is going to. I would not want to be a walker out there. The combination of those two, when they turned
Yeah.
up in his town and he had it rigged with everything, it was an amazing scene.
Yeah, the
It was
death
amazing.
traps.
Yeah.
Did you notice a certain person sitting around the campfire?
I did, yes.
I didn't.
All right, so there's a guy sitting around the campfire at the end during the barbecue. The shish kebab.
Eating Bob's burgers.
Anyway, there's a guy, one of the people was the man that Tyrese said that he had taken care of, but apparently he
course.
had not.
Which I predicted on the previous one. I said
Yes.
that's the only reason he
We're
would
very
stop Carol
proud
from
of
going
you.
in that building. If it was a corpse, he wouldn't care. She sees them all the time. He didn't want her to go in there because he didn't want her to see a live body. That's why. Anyway, yeah, I like that guy's back. I mean, he's obviously gonna, like, I hope that he gets to talk to Bob in the next episode. I liked this episode. The first 2 were very good, but now the test is gonna be with this third one. They've now diverged from a focused 1 group episode into 3 separate groups. So this is when Walking Dead can fall apart.
This
so
is
we'll see.
something that a lot of shows that we've been talking about seem to be falling apart, and that's what I hope that they can do. The Walking Dead is
Well,
a
I
different
think the
league.
main group is certainly attached to Bob at least.
Yes, exactly.
Like
Yeah.
Sasha's going to be like, where is he?
Yeah.
We have to find him. And
They're
looks
more
like
attached to him than his leg is.
John.
Certainly.
I think Daryl and Carol, if you've been complaining that this show doesn't have enough car chases, you just wait for. So
And more Beth.
they're chasing
that's
the car
please.
that looks like it took Beth. I noticed it had a cross on
Yeah,
it.
the cross.
Is
Yeah,
it
that's what the
somehow
last one had.
related to the priest, or maybe a religious group?
Maybe. I thought it was supposed to be a hearse originally, but yeah, I don't know why there'd be a cross on there.
It
Maybe,
looked
maybe
like
it is
it was
connected.
added later to me.
But
Maybe
I
I'm
think I
wrong.
remember that from before. It is the same car. But yeah, maybe that's related to his sin. I mean, maybe he's a coward. Maybe he did originally help some people and then he sold them out or something. I don't know.
You never
Lots to
trust
look
them.
forward to and
Yeah.
think about.
Something's coming.
Any closing thoughts, guys,
Fingers crossed.
for what's up next?
I always kind of wanted to know, maybe on a tangent point, but just with Daryl and Beth, like, where did you see what was going on with their relationship together? Where did you see that going before things got split
Well,
up?
John wanted them to hook up, and
In the
I
casket.
wanted them to not hook up.
Okay.
So
I definitely want them to hook up. That would
Yeah.
be sweet.
It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and it'll be interesting is if those are the 2 that save her, because now she's coming back into their weird Carol Daryl thing.
That's another thing. But the way I see it is as if Carol's like his older sister the same way, but I think she kind of is attached to Daryl a lot more and takes strength from him. I don't know. It's
We
just
don't
too
see
many.
we don't see Carol and Daryl getting it on, so maybe there is
don't-
room for Beth. I think that Carol probably wants to keep her distance. My final thought too.
I
if
ship
you,
it.
Oh God. If you're, like, I know that everybody watches this show and then thinks, how would I have done this differently? If I was looking down into that hole of the water and the 12 zombies, I would have gotten a pole and I would have started spearing them from up there.
Thinking.
You don't get in the water when it's deep enough for somebody to be sitting down.
You've got a guy in there who clearly states he doesn't know, like, to fight. Fair enough, you're going to bring him along because you don't want to leave him with everyone else. But then to bring him along and put him right in that puddle with all these zombies, it was just guaranteed they're going to happen.
He doesn't trust him.
Yeah.
And rightfully so, I think.
I
I don't think he's trustworthy.
Yeah, tied him up.
So that he can definitely be killed.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know. Anyway, it was so dangerous, and the zombie it was a bad tactic to try to pull them down into the water. Just bite his foot. You could have killed him easily.
That's what I thought.
Stay out of the water.
I thought that was why Bob was walking away. I thought he had a bite that he was hidden from, and I thought he was walking away to kind of come to terms with that. But then when I found out, he just.
What if he did have a bite on his leg,
and those guys are going to die,
and now they are zombies?
Calm down.
It could happen.
Guys, no, stop. Join us next week when we find out more about episode 3 of The Walking Dead. Looks like a good season. See you soon.